And so as I mentioned this morning, we have a guest speaker. And so her name is Dr. Saundra, and she's an author. She's a writer, a speaker, and she's done beautiful work, not just nationally, but international. And so TC fam, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Saundra.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Let me stop you right there, because that one question is, and how we answer it, is part of the reason that we are in the current mental health epidemic that we face. I want you to think about it. I just asked, how are you doing? Most of us, we answer it before our brain even has a chance to register with our body and our spirit, really, what's going on with that. And we do it all the time. It's become just natural to be walking down the hall and say, how are you doing? And we expect people to just say, I'm great, I'm fine. But I'm sure there's sometimes you've asked that question, and automatically you knew just in how they said the word, I'm fine, that everything wasn't fine. And this is the problem with that. When we look at it as if it's not normal to say I'm not okay, we end up putting up these walls and these barriers. We start polarizing people into two categories. I saw a post on Facebook recently that stated, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Somebody you know is dealing with it. Now, I think we all agree with that, but I want to challenge you to take that one step further. It's not someone you know is dealing with it. Everyone you know is dealing with their own mental health. When I tell people we are in a mental health epidemic, the first thing they think is, okay, I understand epidemic in the sense of the flu, or if there's a virus that's going around. I understand those kind of epidemics. What do you mean by a mental health epidemic? Well, the same way that if I told you there was the flu happening, you would all get your hand sanitizer, somebody cough, you would sit in the chair next, you would move away, you sit in another chair, you go in the grocery store, you grab one of those little wipies, and you'd wipe that cart down clean before you touched it. You would do some preventative things to try to protect yourself. Yet we live in a world where we jump on social media and we fill our brains with toxicity, and then we wonder how we're in a mental health epidemic? How could we not be? We are setting ourselves up in a situation where we have an ongoing influx of things that are attacking our mental health. The World Health Organization says that by the year 2020, that depression will be the second most devastating disease on the earth. Think about that. Second only to heart disease. That's an epidemic. And also about that point about being eye to eye. Our whole interaction with social media has made it more comfortable for us to say things we would never say when we see someone face to face. Have you ever seen someone's reply to a Facebook post and you hurt for the person they're talking about? You're like, goodness, who says something like that to somebody? We are able to be more harsh and rude and direct when we can't see the pain we're inflicting. What I need us to get back to understanding is there is healing in being face-to-face and eye-to-eye to people. Spend time eye-to-eye with those that you love. The next time you ask your spouse or your kids or your friend, how are you today? I want you to plant your feet, face them eye to eye, direct vision with somebody, and say, how are you today? Now, the first time you do it, they're going to be like, I'm fine, and they're going to be uncomfortable, because I guarantee you probably hadn't done that in a long time. And say, no, I really want to know how you're doing. Give some space there for them to respond after they've processed, how am I doing? Now, emotional rest is huge, particularly if you're one of those people who I call the go-to person for everybody. Does anybody relate to what I'm talking about? If there's something that needs to be done, you seem to be the first person everybody calls. And the reason for that typically is because of one or two things. You either have weak boundaries, or you say yes to everything. You're a people pleaser. And there's nothing wrong with being nice, but you shouldn't be nice for the sake of trying to hold on to relationships just because you don't want to have confrontation. Because to have rest and to have healthy personal boundaries, it has to be confrontational. So the next time someone asks you, would you like to be a greeter at church? And you know that is just not your God-given makeup. You don't smile. You're not a happy kind of person. That's not who you are. And then you hear your mouth say, sure, I'll do that. And then what happens? You're standing there, and in your head you're thinking, why am I here? I don't want to be here. And everything about you is saying that, whether your mouth ever says it. Everything about your body language, all of it's saying it. So we have to have the courage to be bold and say, no, I don't really feel like that's for me. And that's the thing. We treat no like it's a bad word. So we spend so much time giving our reluctant yes rather than give our truthful no. You don't have to explain why you don't want to do something that doesn't align with who you are. No is a complete sentence all by itself. N-O, period.